A brand new strategy, a brand new offer, or a brand new marketing campaign, which one do you think is the biggest opportunity for your business? I believe that the next and biggest opportunity for your business is seeing clearly what's already happening inside the business. Welcome to Profit on the Table. I'm Jane Parmel, and this podcast is made for service-based and family-run business owners who want to uncover hidden profit, strengthen leadership, and improve client experience while growing with more clarity and less chaos. Today I'm doing a review episode. Now, I know your time is valuable, so we'll keep it short. The first few episodes have created an important pattern. The core idea behind this show is that many business owners are not failing because they lack effort. They show up, they work hard, they serve their clients, but even with all of that effort, they may still be leaving profit, momentum, and opportunity on the table. Then we looked at hidden profit leaks that quietly drain service-based businesses. We talked about leadership and how unclear expectations, weak delegation, and owner bottlenecks affect the bottom line. We explored customer experience and why service affects retention, referrals, trust, and repeat business. And then we brought in Celeste Camps, a communications coach, to talk about communication as a leadership skill. All different topics, yep, I get it. But they're all pointing to the same truth. Profit is not only found in more sales, it's also found in clarity, in better leadership, stronger communication, smoother client experiences, and in more intentional follow-up. Places where the business is already doing the work, but where it's missing getting the full return. And once you see that, you can start spotting opportunity faster. Hard work doesn't automatically equal profit. I was always told that if you worked hard, people would notice. Make the effort, show them you have grit, staying power for long hours of work, and most of all, show them that you're responsible. Many of us built our businesses in that same mold. And those things matter, but they're not enough by themselves. A business can be busy and still be underperforming. It can have clients, but pricing can still be off. You can deliver good work and still lose referrals because the experience is inconsistent or the follow-up is weak. You can have a great team and still be too dependent on the owner. That's you. And that's why the phrase profit on the table matters. It's not an accusation, it's an invitation. It asks, where is there value in this business that we're not fully capturing yet? Now that might be money, time, relationships, or an opportunity sitting right in front of the owner, but buried under daily noise. This is where the real work begins, not with burning the business down and starting over, but with looking more honestly at what's already there. That brought us into the second major theme, profit leaks. A profit leak is any place where money, time, energy, or opportunity quietly slips out of the business. Key word there, quietly. Most profit leaks show up as normal, and once something becomes normal, it stops looking like a problem. That's where business owners get caught. They never address things that are normal. They keep looking for the big dramatic issue when the real damage may be happening through small repeatable leaks. But together, put all those small things together, they create drag, and drag is expensive. Here's a tip. Stop assuming more revenue is the only answer. Sometimes the faster path to profit is fixing what's already leaking. Then we moved into leadership. Now, leadership problems become profit problems. Leadership is not separate from the money. Leadership affects how the work gets done, how quickly decisions are made, whether clients receive the same experience every single time, whether employees know what they're responsible for, and let's be honest, Many service-based businesses grow because the owner is capable and knows what needs to be done, but that's a strength that can also become a bottleneck. You see, when the owner becomes the fixer, the translator, the decision maker, the follow-up system, the quality control, and sometimes even the emotional support raccoon for the entire operation, it leads to burnout. And it's not a scalable business plan. And it doesn't allow the business to be profitable at the level it should be. Strong leadership protects profit by creating clarity. It answers operational money questions like who owns what does success look like, what standard are we holding, what decisions can the team make without waiting, what happens when something falls through the cracks. Unclear leadership creates inconsistent action, and inconsistent action creates inconsistent results. A client may never know what goes on behind the scenes in your business, the actual things that were forgotten or missed, but they feel the result, the delay, the uncertainty. When clients feel that friction, it affects trust. Trust affects retention, retention affects referrals, referrals affect growth, growth affects profit. You see the pattern? That's why customer experience is part of the value. My background in hospitality, restaurants, and events has made this very clear to me. In hospitality, the experience is never just the final product. It's the welcome, it's the timing, it's the clarity, it's the anticipation, the feeling that someone is really paying attention. Clients don't remember what you delivered, they remember how easy or hard it felt to work with you. Listen, things don't have to be perfect. The experience has to feel intentional. A timely follow-up, a thoughtful check-in, a team that knows what's going on. These are not tiny little extras, they're trust builders. And trust is one of the most profitable assets in a service business. Then Celeste Camps joined us for our first guest episode, and her topic brought many of all these pieces together. Celeste is a communications coach. She's my go-to for all things communication, especially when I have a client who's struggling in that area. And the reason her episode fits so well is that communication really sits underneath almost every single thing we had already talked about. Profit leaks often involve communication. Everything from pricing to leadership, customer experience, team accountability, even referral relationships require communication. Communication is not just what you say, it's how clarity moves through the business. One of the big ideas from that conversation was communication is not a soft skill. It's actually a leadership skill. And Celeste took it one further. Communication is a business performance skill. Because when communication is weak, people will fill in the blanks. And when people fill in the blanks, they don't always fill them in correctly. Clear communication gives people something to stand on, your staff, you, your partners. It tells the team what matters. It tells clients what to expect, and it tells the leader where they need to be more direct, more consistent, or more self-aware. The leader's communication style becomes part of the business culture. When the leader communicates clearly and consistently, the business becomes calmer. And calm businesses make much better decisions. They solve problems faster, they serve clients better, and they protect profit much more effectively. So here's the pattern across all of these episodes. Profit leaks are not always financial at first. Sometimes they are leadership leaks, communication leaks, service experience leaks. Sometimes they're just clarity leaks. But eventually, they all show up somewhere in the business results. That's the big review point. Listen, if you only look at revenue, you may miss the cause. If you only look at your team, you may miss the client impact. If you only look at a client complaint, you may miss the leadership issue behind them. If you only look at the marketing, you may miss the profit leaking after the sale. Everything's connected. And the more established the business is, the more important those connections become. Because in a business with employees, clients, processes, family relationships, vendors, and community reputation, profit is rarely affected by just one thing. It is affected by how the whole business behaves. So what should you do with all of this? Not everything. Please do not listen to this episode and decide to fix pricing, leadership, communication, customer service, follow-up, delegation, and your entire family business structure by Friday. Please don't. That is not a strategy. That is panic wearing a productivity hat. Instead, choose one lens, one thing. Ask yourself, where are we leaking profit? Where are we being unclear as leaders? Where is communication creating confusion? Where are clients feeling friction? Where's the team waiting on me instead of owning the work? Where are we working hard but not getting the return we should? Pick the question that stings a little. Makes you kind of go, I don't want to answer that, but that's the one that stings. Pick that one. That's usually the one that's worth paying attention to, the one you want to avoid. Then take one practical step. Review one offer, tighten up one follow-up process, clarify one team responsibility, rewrite one client communication, have one very overdue conversation. Look at one service and ask yourself, is this truly profitable out of all of our services? Map one customer touch point. One step is enough to begin, because the purpose of this podcast is not to overwhelm you with ideas. Lord knows we have enough of that. It is to help you see the business more clearly, and once you see it clearly, you can make better decisions. So, as we wrap up this review episode, here's the question I want to leave you with. Across the episodes we've covered so far, and if you haven't watched them, please go back and watch them. Where do you see the biggest opportunity in your business right now? Question sounds different, right? Is it in your profit leaks, your leadership, customer experience, communication? Is it in the connection between all of them? Is it one of them, all of them, many of them? Start there, because that may be where the next level of growth is actually hiding. If this episode helped you see your business differently, subscribe to Profit on the Table for new episodes weekly. And if you know another service-based or family-run business owner who's working hard but may still be leaving profit on the table, share this episode with them. Don't keep it all to yourself. I'm Jane Parmel, and this is Profit on the Table. I will see you next time at the table.